You are about to transform your life in 90 days. But first, we are all going to take one collective deep breath together. All of that overwhelm, all of that burnout, those 50 mental tabs that you have open in your brain, I want you to leave it at the door. And you are going to travel 1 year ahead from today's date and just picture yourself. What do you look like? What are you doing? Where are you? Who are you surrounded by? And I just want you to let that vision come to you naturally. Don't force it. Even if the picture is a little bit blurry, that is fine. And I want you to just sit with that feeling. Take in what it really feels like to be her. And as you come back to the present, I want you to leave a door open. Feel yourself becoming open to receiving the energy of your future dream life. Because today is the first chapter of your new season. You are about to make a commitment to your future self, not only so that you can build the life that you've been daydreaming about, but so that you can make space to build your dream business. If you are anything like me, you probably love a vision board, you probably love a little self-help book, hello Atomic Habits, but when you're in that moment, you are really feeling the transformation. You convince yourself that tomorrow morning, I'm gonna get up at 6 a.m., I'm gonna go for a run, I'm gonna pick up my favorite little drink, and I'm gonna come home and I'm gonna journal all before I start my workday. But that rarely happens. And it's not because these methods don't work, because they do. But when they stand alone, they are not powerful enough to enforce change. To be able to step into your dream life, you need a system that brings all of these theories together. One that takes the habits, the vision, the mindset shifts, and breaks it down into a manageable step-by-step action plan so that you feel like becoming her is actually achievable. And that is exactly what these next 3 episodes are going to be about. I am going to be teaching you my exact 90-day main character method, which is the only roadmap you will ever need for achieving your dream life. It is broken down into 3 stages, using the exercises and tools that you already know and are familiar with, but in a way that actually makes them work for you. But you're not just going to walk away with a pretty vision board and a list of goals. You are going to craft a 90-day action plan with a themed season focus that uses manageable steps and timelines, and then craft the routines, the rituals, the habits that make it stick. And the best part is I have created a free Notion template for you, which you can download in the description so that you don't have to worry about taking a bunch of notes while you are listening to this episode. Simply sit back, listen, and prepare to change your life. Welcome to the Cult Run podcast, the podcast where I teach the It Girl founders, the solopreneurs, the cult brand wannabes, how to turn their vision boards into reality through the power of brand strategy, marketing, and design. If we've met before, hello, it is nice to see you again. And if we haven't, it is very nice to meet you. My name is Katie. I am the founder, creative brains behind Rareform Studio, which is a brand and packaging design studio for the It Girl founders just like you. And my passion is teaching brand building tips that turn your brand from mad to cult status overnight. I am so excited to have you here, but we are going to be covering the 90-day method over 3 individual episodes. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and click that notification button if you are on YouTube so that you can be notified when the next episode goes live. The core essence of the 90-day method is romanticizing the process. We are giving ourselves permission to slow down, be intentional, and actually enjoy the process. Yes, we are dreaming big and we are looking into the future, but it is so important that we stay grounded in the present. What is the point in building your dream life if you are rushing to get there and skipping over the good bits of the life that you are already living? Because this just leads to an endless cycle of constantly chasing the next best thing. So before we go any further, your first step is to just sit in your reality. Get honest about where you are, even if the way you are feels disconnected or out of alignment with the life that you want to be living. And throughout this process, I want you to make a promise to romanticize this current version of you, because she is the one who is putting in all of the work. Whether you are sitting down later to make a start on the worksheet, or whether you are working on it alongside this episode, I want you to make a ritual out of it. Light your favorite candle, pour your favorite drink in a cute little glass, put on a playlist that makes you feel good, and actually carve out a set time period of your day to dedicate to your future self, because I promise you she will thank you for it. The 90-day main character method is split into 3 stages, and in today's episode we are going to be focusing on stage number 1. But I want to walk you through the entire method so you can get a big picture view and an overall impression of what you are working towards. Stage 1 is defining your future self and getting really, really clear on who that person is that you want to become and what your dream life looks like. Swapping the act of choosing goals to choosing an identity is a really powerful shift, because it means that we are changing out the idea of chasing isolated goals such as hitting 10,000 followers or hitting a 6-figure salary in our business to becoming the person that naturally achieves those milestones every single day. You then start to build habits that reinforce that identity, making progress a constant wheel rather than a race, which when you cross the finish line at the end, you go back to your old habits. You then start to build habits that reinforce that identity so that your progress is a constant wheel rather than a race with a finish line, which when you cross it, you just go back to your old ways. Stage 2 is designing the path. This is where you are going to take that dream life and figure out exactly what you need to do to get there. You are building a bridge between your current reality and where you want to be. But Rome wasn't built in a day, so we are breaking this down step by step, brick by brick, so by the end of the method, you have an actionable 90-day roadmap for how you are going to bridge the gap between who you are and who you are becoming. Stage 3 is becoming her. This is all about how you are going to stick to that plan in a way that feels energizing and motivating for you. You are going to set up systems, rituals, routines, habits that align with your growth and help you to step into that version of yourself that you have been daydreaming about. So now that you've seen the big picture of what we are working towards with the 90-day main character method, we are going to focus on stage 1, which is defining your future self. And I'm going to walk you through the method with each of the exercise in depth, so that hopefully by the end of it, you have a really, really clear vision of what the life you are working towards is. Not necessarily just what you think you want, but the things that you actually desire out of your dream life. Now, naturally, we are doing this through a business lens because we are all founders here. So for me, the goal of the 90-day method is to work towards a plan that we are implementing in our business. But if you want to do this for your life, or if you want to do both alongside each other, then I also recommend doing so if that is something that feels aligned with you. Now, the first exercise of stage 1 is all about visualization. And any of you girlies that regularly practice manifestation, or even just generally have a bit of an interest in the law of attraction, are really going to enjoy this. But the problem with manifestation is normally we create our vision boards, we visualize our dream lives, and then we stop there. And we forget to actually take the action that is going to make change in our lives so that we can become the person that is living the lives that are on our vision boards. So this is what the 90-day method is all about. And stage 2 is more about creating those actions, but we can't figure out what those actions are before we understand what we are trying to achieve. The first exercise is writing a letter from future you. You are going to travel into the future to the version of yourself who has already lived through this chapter. It is up to you what time period you want to work through. I recommend starting with 90 days, but you could also do 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, whatever feels aligned to you. And you don't just have to stop at doing this once. You don't have to just pick one time period. You could do this for all of them if you choose to. And if that is something that you feel like is really going to help you visualize what your dream life is going to look like. Starting with that 90 days, you are going going to step into the version of yourself who already knows what it has felt like to live your current life. So I want you to imagine where you are in this time period. I believe in my letter, I was laying by the pool in Cyprus because one of my things that I'm working towards in my dream life is more freedom to travel. So 90 days from now, I was laying by a beach in Cyprus and I was writing a letter to my current self, talking about all of the obstacles that I overcame, maybe some of the anxieties that I'm currently feeling, some of the changes that I'm going through, and also thinking about the goals, or the milestones rather, that I want to achieve. I don't like calling them goals because it almost insinuates that there is this end point, and I much prefer to view them as milestones instead. So I like to think about what kind of milestones I want to have reached by that time period. A really, really powerful thing to do here as well is actually to write your letter by hand, and I want you to address it to yourself, seal it and tuck it away in a drawer or your little Monica junk cupboard somewhere, so that in 90 days or 6 months, 1 year, 3 years from now, you can find that letter again, open it and see how much has actually come true in your life. And I think you will be very pleasantly surprised. Now, if you are struggling to visualize your future self, I do have a couple of prompts to help. So what has changed for you in comparison to where you were 90 days, 1 year, whatever it is that you are working towards? What wins or successes are you most proud of? What does a normal week in your life look like? How do you feel now? Are you more confident? Are you happier? Are you really, really glad that you stuck with that thing that you were so scared of doing? Similarly, what have you let go of? How does your business currently support the lifestyle that you want to live? And also, what are your non-negotiables? Do they look different to what they are currently? I also want you to really take the time on this. I don't want you to rush through any of these exercises or feel like you need to hurry up and write this letter in order to move on to the next step. If you even carve out 1 hour every other evening to work on your 90-day method, and all that looks like is writing one letter to yourself, then you are still making progress. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So I don't want you to put all of this pressure on yourself to get everything finished ASAP, because if you remember, there is no point rushing through the life that you are currently living to achieve a life that you see in the future. And if you particularly like the visualization exercises, you like imagining your future self, there is also a bonus task that I've thrown in that you can work on too, which is the dream day script. Again, if you are familiar with manifestation and visualization, you've probably seen this exercise done before. But similarly to the letter, I want you to travel into the future, time travel to the version of you 90 days, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years from now, and you are going to journal. You are going to sit in your bed at the end of the evening, wherever that may be, having experienced your dream day. Now, you could have multiple versions of your dream day. You might want to do one where you are working, you might want to do one where you are traveling, and there might be multiple versions of this, and that is totally okay. You can do as many of these as you like. And also, don't feel like once you've completed the 90-day method, you can't then go back to these exercises. Doing these visualization exercises regularly is a really powerful tool for your brain, because our brains have a natural GPS system ingrained into them. So just as similarly, and I spoke about this in my last episode all about road beauty, just like when you buy a new car and then all of a sudden you start seeing that car on the road even though you'd never ever spotted it before. If your brain is actively visualizing your future self, and this is proved by science, your brain will actually start perceiving the visions that you are having of your future life as reality. And if you start picturing wealth, if you start picturing travel freedom, those things are naturally going to start popping up and appearing more in your daily life. And once you have written your dream day script, I want you to play it like a movie in your mind. Every night before you fall asleep, every morning when you wake up, and every day may be slightly different, but the more and more you teach your brain this version of your future self, the more likely it is to actually manifest itself in your everyday life. So once you have really visualized what your dream life looks like, who your future self is, we're going to get a little bit more tangible. And you are going to create a really clear romanticized profile. So we're looking at traits, we are looking inward at personality, what she looks like, how she carries herself, so that we can create a bit of an ID card that we can refer back to whenever we are envisioning the kind of person that we want to become. So more identity-based work rather than visualization. Step 1 is the 5 senses exercise. So we are going to go through sight, sound, taste, touch, and we are going to list all of the characteristics that our future self holds in relation to these senses. Now, don't worry, I'm going to break this down for you with some examples and some prompts. So starting off with sight, I want you to visualize future you as if you are sitting across the room from her. What is she wearing? How does she carry herself? Who is she with? What is her body language like? And I just want you to either write a little paragraph, write a few sentences, even list a few bullet points if that is more your style. And I don't want you to be afraid here to be superficial. So for example, when I picture my future self, she is blonde. I have actually been blonde for many a year of my life. I'm a natural brunette, but I have been blonde for a number of years and recently went back to being brunette. So when I picture my future self, she is blonde. So I don't want you to be afraid that you're not providing some deep, meaningful answer. For smell, we are not only thinking about her signature scent, so what perfume she wears, what kind of body wash she uses in the shower, but also what smells are surrounding her environment. Does she bake freshly baked bread every single Sunday, and therefore her little village cottage house is surrounded by the scent of freshly baked bread? So I want you to think about her environment rather than just looking at her herself. For sound, I want you to think of the soundtrack of her life. And yes, this can be a song, a playlist, an album, even podcasts, but I want you to just spend some time getting really, really specific on what those look like, and also not forgetting her surrounding environment as well. So what does she listen to when she wakes up every morning? What are the kind of sounds that she hears throughout her day? Now, next we're moving on to taste, and this is probably my favorite one, because I don't just want you to think about her morning coffee order or what she's eating for breakfast, but I want you to imagine she has just reached, or you have just reached, a milestone in your business, your life, whatever that may be. Maybe it's a bucket list item that you've been wanting to reach for a really long time, and you are taking the people that you love out for a celebratory dinner. I want you to think about what restaurant you're in. Is it even a home-cooked meal? What are you ordering off the menu? And I want you to really visualize and picture your celebratory dinner and lace out every single detail. Then lastly, touch. Just think about the kind of sensations that she's coming across in her daily life. It might be those silk pajamas that she's wanted to buy for a really long time that she puts on every single time she gets out of her evening bath. Or is it the smooth leather of the first ever designer bag that she bought with her first paycheck? Now, once you have this 5 senses profile, we're going to do a little bit of journaling. Now, I love a journal prompt, and we're really going to be looking at your core essence of your future self. And again, I just want you to remember through this entire process that you're not necessarily thinking about the you that you are now, you're thinking about the you that you want to become. So as you're answering some of these journal prompts, I don't want you to feel afraid that the things that you're writing down are silly or scarily out of reach, because we are going to figure out the ways that we are going to bridge this gap throughout the 90-day method. So I'm just going to briefly go through these prompts. Don't feel like you need to jot these down, because again, you can download the free workshop in the description, but I'm just going to go through a couple of them now just to give you a couple of examples. So what routines, boundaries, or tiny luxuries do I refuse to compromise on no matter how busy life gets? So even when you are feeling in a slump, even when that motivation dips, or even when life just gets so busy that you feel like you don't even have 5 minutes to yourself, what are those little luxuries? What are the things that you are going to prioritize in your life no matter what? This could look like a monthly coffee date with your bestie. It could look like making sure you're carving out some self-care time in the evening. Whatever those may be, I want you to just take some time and list them out. Who is her community? What sort of people does she surround herself with? And how is she intentional about how she is spending time with them? So I want you to think about the types of people that you're surrounding yourself with, even if they don't exist in your life right now. Do they support you? Do they lift you up? Do they motivate you? And are there any people in your life that already do this? How are you going to be intentional about the ways you're spending time with them? What sort of activities are you going to be doing with them? And generally, what kind of conversations are you going to have together? Now, this one is really important in my opinion. Beyond revenue, how does she measure success? So I feel like we can often get really caught up in the numbers or generally the figures if we're looking at follower counts and things like that. And it's really important to step outside of that and really look at the bigger picture. What does success mean to you? So a really good example that I can give for this is something in my industry as a creative studio owner that is very, very honed in on is this idea of wanting to grow an agency and having 10 employees and having this really, really big team of creatives to come together. However, in the last year or so, I've really realized that I don't want that, and I'm quite happy taking full control over my business and being a one-woman studio. Yes, I still collaborate with some other creatives in like a subcontracting way during my project, but generally my idea of success is just being able to take control over every single decision and being a one-woman studio and owning that. So what is your idea of success? And it's okay if this takes a minute to come to you. It's okay if you have to reframe your beliefs a little bit. I just want you to picture your future self and what her version of success looks like. What behaviors, projects, or environments does she say no to? So we're looking a little bit at boundaries here. So what is she saying no to in her everyday life? So this may be, exposure work. If you're a service provider, it may be clients who ghost you. If you are a product-based business owner, it may be saying no to doing sales all the time. Just think about what those boundaries are that you are setting, not just in your business, but in your life as well. Are there any people that you feel like you need to set more boundaries with? And this may feel a little bit tricky. It may feel like a little therapy session at sometimes. But if you are feeling that this is hard or this is difficult in some way, I want you to sit with those feelings and really feel them and think about why you are feeling that way and maybe jot that down somewhere. What do I want to become known for? Not just in business, but in life. Again, these questions are going to require some thought. They're not going to come to you immediately. You may need to skip and come back to them, but I want you to think about the lasting legacy that you want to leave. What do you want people to remember you for? So for example, I really want to be known for my it girl, kind of that girl vibe. I want to be known for helping people to reach their vision boards. I want to be known for my 90-day main character method. It doesn't matter if this isn't just one clear thing. You could quite easily list a couple of bullet points here as well. If I had to choose 3 words to describe the energy that I want to embody every single day, what would they be? This is a really fun one, and I just want you to think about what kind of energy you want to bring to your everyday life. So for example, it may be soft, it may be driven, it may be intentional. Don't think about this too much, simply just jot the words that come into your head, and if you feel like you need to jot down 10 and then pick out the top 3, then you can do that as well. What principles guide the way I run my business and life? So here we're really thinking about your core values, the themes that are showing up every single day that guide you in how you're living your life and running your business. So for example, it may be transparency, it may be honesty, it may be kindness, it may be collaboration over competition. And again, don't feel afraid to list a bunch of these and then pick out your top favorite ones. Exercise 3 is the mindset shift. So you visualize the future version of yourself that you want to become. You're aware of the new boundaries you want to set. You know what your version of success looks like. You know what kind of people you want to surround yourself with. However, you can't embrace this change with an old style of thinking. So we need to start positioning ourselves to think about the certain obstacles, the certain things in our lives that are holding us back from becoming those versions of ourselves. And yes, this comes in the form of more journal prompts. So I'm just going to whiz through these because I'm aware that I don't just want to sit here through this episode and read out questions to you guys, but I feel like it can really help just to hear it in your ear, hear it broken down, and just feel a couple of those examples as well. So what areas of my life or business feel heavy, hard, or frustrating right now? Do you feel like there is a weight on your shoulders? If so, What is that weight? What are the things in your life or in your business that are feeling particularly difficult right now? And again, if this feels difficult for you, just sit with those feelings, jot down what you feel like that means, and just sit with it for a while. Similarly, what have I been avoiding because it feels uncomfortable, overwhelming, or pointless? So for example, you might be avoiding posting on social media because you just don't know where to start. It feels really overwhelming to have to come up with a bunch of content ideas. It feels really, really stressful to have to fit these into your working week when you feel like you don't have time, or it may feel pointless because you feel like the algorithm isn't working in your favor. What are those things that are happening within your life or your business right now? Why do I believe that I haven't moved forward yet in this area of my life or business? I recently did a social media post, and it was 6 things that I unlearned in 6 years of business. And it took me a moment to really sit down and register what those 6 things were. But once I did, I realized how much my mindset had changed over the years. So if I were answering this question, I maybe would start talking about one of the things that I feel like I have unlearned recently, which is essentially that I need to stop blaming everything on external factors and take some of the responsibility myself. So I'm very quick to blame the algorithm or blame the economy for maybe the reason why I haven't booked a client this month, or the reason why my social media post didn't do so well, rather than looking inward and taking some of that responsibility and reflecting and thinking, okay, what can I be doing to make things easier, rather than just being very quick to blame the external factors. So these responses may take a little while to come to you, because I know they did for myself, but that is totally okay. Like I've mentioned, if you need to skip ahead, if you need to pause, take a break, then listen to your body, listen to your mind. Don't force yourself to try and write answers, because ultimately, if you're doing that, they're not going to be accurate, they're going to be forced. So the final journal prompt of this section is, what am I afraid will happen if I do succeed? And there are a couple of extra journal prompts if you really enjoy this part of the process as well that you may want to sit with and answer. But generally, once you have all of those responses, you should have a very good idea of what is preventing you from becoming that person. But we need to work to change those beliefs. So step 2 is all about reframing your limiting beliefs. If you are working through the worksheet, there is a table here for you to fill out. And I want you to start by going back over your journal prompts and identifying some of those beliefs or obstacles that you are currently experiencing that are holding you back. So for example, I have done a lot of these examples from my own perspectives as a creative service provider, but it doesn't matter what kind of business you are running, and also it doesn't have to be related to your business either. These can be related to your life as well. So I just want you to start by listing out all of those old thoughts and old beliefs in the table. We are then going to flip it to its opposite state and choose an alternative truth instead. So for example, if your old thought or limiting belief is that you're not good enough to raise your prices, I want you to flip that and swap it for an alternative truth, which may be, my work holds value and I deserve to charge my worth. And I want you to just go through that exercise with all of the different beliefs you've written down. You can write down as few or as many as you like. And once you've flipped that script, once you've chosen an alternative truth, we're going to think about what the outcome, what the result is. So if you're saying, hey, my work does hold value, I deserve to charge what I'm worth, the new outcome or feeling that you may experience is, I am confidently pricing myself in a way that allows me to be financially free, and clients are booking consistently. I feel aligned, I feel respected, and I feel powerful. So essentially, just as a bit of an overview, we're listing our old thoughts and beliefs, we're choosing an alternative truth instead, and then we are figuring out what that new outcome or feeling is as a result. And this is going to help us to really figure out how we're going to reframe all of those obstacles, all of the things that are holding us back, and actually turn them into positive outcomes instead. Exercise 4 is the one that I know you have been waiting for. We are going to be building an intentional vision board, but this is so much more than just pinning a couple of pretty aesthetic images to your Pinterest, maybe making it your phone wallpaper if you're feeling extra spicy, and leaving it there. This vision board exercise is about being super intentional over the things that we are choosing to put on our vision boards. And because we're not working towards a list of goals for the year, for example, like we may do at New Year's when we all sit down on January or even December 30th and create our vision boards, we are instead creating our vision boards from the perspective of the identity of the future self, of the future version of the person that we want to become. So again, we're flipping this from being goals-based to being identity-based. So in this exercise, you are going to create 3 vision boards, and all of this is optional, but I want you to pick 3 time frames. So if you remember back to the Future You letter, I said you can travel 90 days, 6 months, 1 year into the future and write your future letter from you. We're going to do a similar thing with our vision board. So I want you to pick some time periods, but if you're struggling and if you're feeling overwhelmed with doing all of that at once, I just want you to start with 90 days. Each of these vision boards is then going to represent a chapter of your life. But before we jump straight into Pinterest and collecting our visuals, we need to give ourselves a little bit of extra direction. Now, this stage is also completely optional. I prefer personally not to do this for my 90 days, but I do it for my 1 year, 3 year, 5 year vision boards. And that is, you're going to select a set of pillars to almost separate out your vision board and categorize it into sections. So for an example, these are the pillars on my 1 year vision board. So I have the person I want to become, which almost seems a bit of an obvious one, but we're looking from a physical standpoint. So I like to pin lots of images of what I wish I looked like, what kind of outfits I wished I was wearing, even what sort of activities I wish that I was doing. And this is a really, really powerful thing. And like vision boards in general, this gives our brain an even heightened sense of visualization, because we're not just using our imaginations to picture our future selves, we are literally looking at photos of it on a screen, which is going to just strengthen that connection between what our brain believes is reality and imagination. Also on my vision board, I have business/career, which is where I will pin all of the images that relate to my milestones for my business. I have self-care and development, which may look like my morning skincare routine, for example, or the self-help books that I really want to read. I also have lifestyle and experiences. So at the very beginning of the year, one of the things that I wanted to work towards was getting off the screen and having more me time in the form of cozy hobbies and things like that. So my lifestyle and experiences board isn't just the fact that I want to go strawberry picking in summer. It is the cozy hobbies that I want to experience in my day-to-day life, for example. I also have health and wellness, home and environment. I have relationship on there as well. So I just want you to take a moment to think about the different almost categories or areas of your life that you want to split your vision board up into. Like I said, I personally don't do this for my 90-day vision board because I have a set focus area, which is what we talk about more in stage 2. So if you want to complete stage 2 and then come back to your vision board, then you absolutely can do that. But I do like to separate it out into pillars for my more future thinking vision board. So my 1 year, my 5 year. So once you have an idea of how you are splitting up your vision board, it is finally time to sit down and make a ritual out of creating those vision boards. But like I mentioned, we're going to be super intentional about this. Every single image on my 90-day vision board has a real connection behind it. I haven't just posted images for the sake of being aesthetic. So if I'm looking at a photo of, I don't know, what's on my vision board. If I'm looking at a photo of somebody recording a podcast, for example, I only pin that if I feel an actual emotional connection with that image. And you may not feel those instantly, which is completely fine. But I just want you to not be pinning every single image you're seeing and just be really intentional and mindful about the types of photos you are putting on your vision board. And if you choose to romanticize any part of the 90-day method, it should be this. I hope you romanticize the whole process, but particularly your vision board. Me personally, I really love to vision board in bed. I don't know what it is. I like to light a candle, I put on a little playlist, or even a show on Netflix, something like Friends, for example, that I've seen 1,000 times before. And I will get really cozy in bed. I'll have some really nice pajamas pajamas on, maybe I've just had an everything shower. I pour myself a cute little drink, make a cute little snack, and I make a ritual out of it. I really enjoy the process of making my vision board because we want to enjoy every single step of our current lives while we are building the one that we are working towards. But your vision board process does not end there. For a start, any single time that you have a spare 5 minutes, you may be waiting for an appointment, you may be waiting to meet your friend for coffee at lunch, you may be commuting on the tube. Anytime you have a spare 5 minutes, instead of opening up your phone and scrolling on TikTok or Instagram, I want you to open up Pinterest and use that time to reflect on your vision board, do a little visualization exercise, and even just pin some more images to your vision board where possible. And also, to make this even more magnetic, take your vision board, take all of the individual images from your Pinterest and make them into one collective image, one big vision board that you're going to make your phone paper, you're going to make it your laptop wallpaper, so that you are constantly checking in with that vision and once again reminding your brain of the dream life that you are wanting to lead. Now by now you know that I love a little journal prompt, so we are going to do a little bit of journaling to just reflect on the vision boards that we have created. So I want you to think about, what are the recurring themes, feelings, or visuals that showed up across all 3 boards? If you've created your 90-day, 1-year, 5-year board, I want you to think, what themes are recurring throughout all of these? And this is also going to help you even further reinforce what that dream life is that you're building. And if you have struggled to figure out what it is that you want out of your dream life, hopefully this is going to help with that a little bit further. Want beyond what you thought you should want. And with those final journal prompts, you have officially completed stage 1 of the 90-day main character method, which is defining your future self. So I'm really hoping that by the time you have been through the worksheets, whether you've just been listening today with the plan to do it later on, or whether you have been working alongside this episode and filling in the worksheet at the same time, I really hope that you now have a super defined visualization of the dream life and dream business that you are trying to build. And in the next episode, we are going to be diving into stage 2, which is designing the path. We are going to be working out what exactly it is you need to do to reach that dream version of yourself and mapping out a 90-day plan and timeline for how you're going to get there, with actionable steps, a focus filter, and we are even going to define your season, give it a name, and create a little playlist to keep you motivated throughout. This has been the Cult Brand Podcast. I have been Katie, and I will see you all again very, very soon with part 2 of the 90-day main character method.